we have got the good folks from HYCU ready to go. Presenting for HYCU today is Chris Rogers, Senior Product Marketing Manager. Chris, it is great to see you today. We are waiting for you with bated breath, so I am going to turn this over to you right now. Take it away, sir.
Hello everybody, my name is Chris Rogers, and I'm here from HYCU to talk to you about protecting your entire data estate. So we're going to be talking about total cyber resilience for SaaS data, cloud, and on-premise data as well. So let's dive straight in. So you'll notice that when we talk about cybersecurity and cyber resilience and those types of things, typically we're going to be talking about ransomware attacks. Typically, when we talk about ransomware attacks, we're focused mainly on the hybrid cloud. So a virtual machine getting impacted by ransomware, potentially some data exfiltration, but essentially, locking that data down on VMs to stop customers being able to access their data, stop applications running, essentially grind their business to a halt. That's typically what we see, but actually what we're starting to see now is a change. Attackers are now going after higher value items. And what I mean by higher value items is it's not necessarily the application's value or the rank of between 1 and 5 on how critical that application is to the organization. But what I'm talking about is the return on investment. It's typically very easy or easier to protect on-premises or hybrid cloud data. But actually what we're seeing is a change going into these cloud conscious and SaaS attacks. So looking at AWS, Google Cloud, Azure platforms, potentially it's not as secure, not as easy to secure. Those skill sets aren't as broad, and in fact, potentially holds just as much data, if not more data, than the hybrid cloud environments. And then you start looking at the supply chain attacks. This is where the real return on investment for bad actors comes in, because they can attack one company and potentially get access to 200,000 or more, or even 1 million different customer data sets and be breached in that way. So how, at a backup level, what have we been doing well and what are we not doing well? Well, typically, when you look at the legacy backup vendor approach, it's going to be focused on this on-premise, the VMware, right? They're built for this way, and we did a very good job of building really good solutions around the on-premises world. But unfortunately, the current backup industry is offering limited liability. And your organization will need full coverage in order to survive. And that is where HYCU's mission really comes through. We want to build a safer world through universal protection of data. So what does that really look like? What do those words mean from a HYCU standpoint? Well, I introduce you to HYCU R-Cloud. So total protection across your entire data estate. So what does that really give us? So let's look at the 4 main pillars we have here. So total visibility, total protection, and total control. So let's dive into those. Total visibility, giving SaaS and application level discovery across your environment. How do you know what you have to protect if you can't see it or don't know about it? And then giving you total protection, giving you backup and recovery, compliance and archive across all those workloads. The total recovery piece, giving you operational recovery, disaster recovery, cyber recovery when needed. And also total control, giving you complete control over your data, being able to migrate data between hypervisors, clouds, but also ensuring data control and data sovereignty never leaves your organization's control. And the one underneath that underpins everything is total coverage, giving you the widest coverage of any data protection vendor out there to ensure all data is protected in the best way possible. And then you'll see wrapped around the outside of that is HYCU R-Shield. And I'm going to explain to you what HYCU R-Shield is now. HYCU R-Shield is our brand new cyber resilience fabric weaved in to HYCU R-Cloud. And that forms the basis of our 3 main pillars for HYCU R-Shield. That is always protected, always observing, and always ready. And unfortunately, when we look at cyber resilience, the attackers are getting smarter. So in this report that Sophos did, 94% of ransomware victims have their backups targeted by attackers. They're clever. They know that if they get hold of production data and the backup data, there really is no way out. You have to pay the ransom. So having a secure backup environment is going to be more critical than ever before. Unfortunately, again, when we look at legacy backups, they introduce risk and a large attack surface. So if you look at some of the components on the screen, we have backup servers, agents, multiple proxy servers, backup repositories that are then connected to all of these different places. These become easy to find. They're very chatty between all the networks. So they're easy to monitor, easy to look at. So if you do manage to get into the network, it's very easy to pinpoint exactly where the data flow is going. Each one of these has a high chance of CVEs. As we can see from historic data, there are vendors out there who have a lot of CVEs. They get patched quickly, but unfortunately that puts extra stress and pressure on operational teams. And there's more room for mistakes, more room for patching errors, more maintenance needs to be done, more upgrades. And one thing that's missed can lead to a vulnerability. So let's show you how HYCU differs. So we have a near zero attack surface and a deeply resilient infrastructure. So we have a zero design architecture. That means it's a single appliance. No need to design, no need to architect it. We have no agents, no servers, no backdoors, only purpose-built backup using native APIs to the cloud, on-premise, and SaaS applications themselves. We ensure backup data cloaking, secure, isolated networks, continuous backup posture management. So what does that really mean? That sounds a bit buzzwordy, right? So essentially, we make sure that only HYCU can see your backup data. And if anything in the backup storage is open to the public or not configured in the right way, we're going to let you know about it continuously. So you can monitor and keep alerting on that to know if suddenly an S3 bucket is open to the public and your data may be being exfiltrated out of that. We also have hardened Linux appliance. So HYCU has a near zero attack surface, an ultra secure resilient infrastructure. So we have a zero design architecture. What does that mean? Well, we have no agents, no servers, no backdoors. Purpose-built backup using native APIs only to the platforms they're designed to. That means we don't have to really architect our solution. We don't have big deployment guides. You essentially put HYCU in where you want it, let it run. It's a single appliance. And that appliance is hardened. It's a Linux appliance. So it's ultra secure. We provide a minimal OS, and all patches and security are provided by HYCU, so nothing to maintain yourself. We ensure that the management and the data plane are completely separated. And if there's anything in your environment that, especially for the backup data storage, for instance, that is looking wrong or misconfigured, we're going to alert you about that instantly with continuous backup posture management. And all of this has been military grade battle tested. So we're the only data protection vendor to have a DISA-STIG certification. We have common criteria, NIAP. We're the only data protection vendor to support VTPM or Nutanix. And also we're widely and heavily used by many of the three-letter agencies in the US as well. So you can guarantee your data and the platform is as secure as it possibly can be. And if we look at another statistic here, 60% of corporate data is in the cloud. That means that SaaS applications are low-hanging fruit and also now becoming a top target. So 80% of breaches now occur in cloud applications. So if we look at the types of threats we have, so we have ransomware attacks, as we mentioned earlier, on the hybrid cloud. But actually, we've been pretty good at sorting this out. Most of the vendors on the call that you're listening to today, are pretty good at sorting this out. So we follow the 3-2-1, now the 3-2-1-1-0 rule. We have immutable backups, we have defined runbooks, and we can do that resilience testing. So we've done a pretty good job as an industry, making sure that we are secure from those ransomware attacks that happen in the hybrid cloud. And so have the attackers. So what happens now? We have supply chain attacks. We have malicious deletion from insider threats on these SaaS applications, and misconfigurations or even deletions by the vendor. And now we'll look at what we have to support that. So there's more than 200 SaaS applications currently in any organization, a mid-market organization, but less than 10 supported by most backup providers. Most of them only have managed storage options. We're storing it in someone else's S3 storage or someone else's blob storage or someone else's cloud. We have not many mutability options, and if they are, they're very limited. But also then we have no data to access in a supply chain attack or an outage. This isn't a great situation for most organizations to be in. If they really truly understood cyber resilience, they realize they're only protected for a subset of their applications right now. Now I want to introduce you to HYCU R-Lock, the industry's only immutable customer-owned backups for SaaS, cloud, and on-prem. So what does that mean? We have 86 plus protected workloads, more to be added very, very soon as well. So we have policy-driven protection. So it's fully managed, set and forget. You don't have to worry about it. You can induct brand new apps automatically, global policies, you name it. It's super, super simple, easy to deliver. They're customer-owned backups. I think this is incredibly important to reiterate. Backups are always stored in customer-owned environments. That can be public cloud. That can be on-premises. That can be anywhere that the customer wants to store their data, but it's customer-owned and customer's decision, rather than it being in someone else's cloud and someone else's lock and key. That's crucial for data sovereignty as well. With the current geopolitical status, it's incredibly important data stays in the locality it needs to. And then we have those immutable break glass copies. So meets the 32110 requirements with immutable object locked backups. And again, that's for all of our 86 plus workloads. That includes on-premises, hybrid cloud, public cloud, PaaS, DBaaS, SaaS, you name it, we can protect that data, giving you the biggest coverage of any data protection vendor in the marketplace. And now I just want to run a poll. So which of the following best reflects your current SaaS data protection situation? So the first one being, we know all of our SaaS apps and back them up with immutability. We back up only our core SaaS applications like Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace or Salesforce with no immutability. We use SaaS heavily, but don't back most of it up. And we're unsure what's covered or what's immutable today. So please make sure you do the poll and we'll carry on. So nextly, we're looking at always observing. Discover your entire data estate. Identify anomalies, and then also scan for ransomware attacks. So the first one I want to introduce you is R-Graph. So this lets you visualize your data and your applications and expose those gaps and the risks you have in your organization. When we go and speak to customers and we say, how many SaaS applications you're using, how many applications have you got on premises? Typically we get the answer of, oh, I've got this many, 5 or 6, But actually when we look and when customers run this tool, they find out that on average it's over 200 SaaS applications in their organization. What we can do with R-Graph is run this automatically, completely free of charge. You can go onto our HYCU website and run R-Graph in your environment. It's going to automatically categorize and visualize all your applications in the directory, and then tell you where your risks are. So tell that there is limited customer backups. There is no recovery. There is no offsite backups for those. That's going to help you visualize and categorize the risks you have in your environment. So make sure you look at that. And introducing malware scanning. So fast, efficient ransomware scanning for your hybrid cloud data. So we're doing detection at the source. So this means we're doing rapid detection on the source platform. So for instance, for Nutanix, we're taking snapshots like we do for our backups, utilizing the APIs. And then we're mounting those snapshots, scanning them using Yara rules, which can be completely customized by the customer, and then receiving those instantly into wherever platform you want. So you can put them into your SIEM or your source systems. You can see here we've got in Microsoft Teams or into Slack, wherever else you want those results, you can get them. And the same thing again here. The theme is data control. The data never ever leaves the customer, not even any metadata. Most other content providers and scanning goes out and then sends metadata to someone else's cloud under their lock and key. Even if it's metadata, it's still your data, and they're processing it and then sending it back. That never happens. No data ever leaves any of your environment. We have double protection. So we're running real data, Yara scanning, anomaly detection, combining those together on a continuous check so you can see what's happening in your environment in near real time. And then backup storage independence. Scan for data that is backed up to any storage, even directly to the cloud. So we have no reliance on any segregated or separated storage, or even any third party or any affiliated hardware. HYCU doesn't sell storage. We have no ambitions to ever sell storage. So customer can decide what storage they're using and still maintain 100% control and utilize the R-Shield scanning. And then we go to always ready, continuous validation, rapid flexible recovery, and supply chain protection. So what's the point of backing up if we can't recover? That's an obvious question, but actually something that's not taken as seriously as it should be. Backing up is only one part of the story, right? Make sure our backups are clean and good and running on time, but actually recovery is more important than anything else. So if we look at our recovery with flexibility here, This gives us an idea of how we can utilize the HYCU R-Cloud platform and recover flexibly across all of these places. So first, let's look at the hybrid cloud. We have high-speed production recovery. So we have the fastest recovery for Nutanix in the world. We enable cross-hypervisor recovery. So if you are running a multi-hypervisor platform, you can recover from VMware to Azure Stack HCI, to Nutanix, AHV, any of those, and in between across all of those, giving you complete flexibility and avoiding lock-in. We can also offer clean room recovery. If you have a clean room available, either in the cloud or on premises, wherever you have that, we can essentially put that data wherever you want it inside of your clean room environment. Then we have cloud native. Again, high-speed production recovery directly back into where it came from. We have cross-regional recovery. So if you want to recover that service into a different region in the same cloud provider, you can do that. Or if you want to do cloud recovery and recover that data into a separate public cloud, you can also do that with HYCU as well. Again, giving you ultimate flexibility and freedom, because at the end of the day, it's your data, not anyone else's. And then we look at SaaS. Again, that high-speed production recovery directly back into that SaaS application where you want to use the data. We can also do cross-instant recovery. Again, with SaaS applications, we need the application and the data to be together to be able to use it. So what happens when the application goes down? Well, we can have a standby sandbox environment and restore the data into that environment as well. And the big piece here is the offline recovery. We can actually have data sat on any platform, a customer-owned platform they want, and have it accessible, fully readable, if that application is offline. So imagine there is a supply chain attack at Box, iManage, Office 365, and that application isn't actually available to utilize. Well, customers, you can still get access to your data using HYCU and R-Cloud, and essentially put that data into different platforms or have access to the data whenever you need it, even if the application isn't available to you. That's what true resilience looks like, is having data available even if the platform isn't available to you. So 3 key takeaways from me today. Understand which workload your organization is using and identify the easy targets. Make sure you are protecting all of your data. Start backing up and testing recovery for all applications, not just your on-premise ones, not just those VMs that are running. Include SaaS, DBaaS, and PaaS services in that as well. And do not give up control of your backups or backup data to any vendor. This is your last resort. You need to keep it under lock and key and ensure it is part of your critical data, and make sure that is recoverable and you don't rely on anybody else. Because if we have another supply chain attack, it could be your backup vendor that has it this time. So I've got a QR code on the screen. I'll leave them up here, but the first one is a blog, which is about our R-Shield content that we've just discussed today. The webinar, the full announcement webinar that you can watch, featuring our CEO and VP of product, explaining exactly what R-Shield does and exactly what we're offering to the marketplace. We have a complete data sheet available for you for cyber resilience for Nutanix workloads. If you're a Nutanix admin, here's a cyber resilience checklist that you can download. And if you want to request a demo of HYCU R-Shield, scan the last one there. I'll be taking questions now. But thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Chris, that was amazing. Thank you so much for an incredible presentation. I enjoyed that so much. The R-Shield stuff, I've got to say, looks awesome. So much functionality there. Just great stuff all around. So before we dive into the questions, Chris, I'm going to open up the first HYCU poll that we have got. One of 2 that is live right now, folks. So please let us know what additional information you would like about the HYCU solution. So fill that out while we are going through some fun Q&A here. First of all, a little bit of feedback from Alex, who says, fantastic presentation. I have to agree with him. Okay. So absolutely. Paul asks, how does HYCU address app data security strategies in SaaS web applications versus PWAs?
A complicated question. I'll try and answer it.
That's why it's good for the first one, right?
So our strategy is to try and protect as much data as we possibly can, no matter where it lives or where it lives, right? So understanding that not all data is created equal, right? So there's going to be data in PWAs that you don't want to protect, you do want to protect. But essentially what we're looking at is going out in our SaaS strategy and saying, there's, I think there's over 300,000 SaaS vendors just in the US alone, right? So how do we protect as many of those as we possibly can where people have got critical data in? So we essentially have our own development platform. So instead of us at HYCU having to develop every single plugin for every single SaaS vendor that's possibly out there, if we did it that way, guess what? We would never get there. We would never ever get towards anywhere near that number, right? Because everyone all the vendors on the call know how hard it is to create backups for particular applications, right? So what we actually do is let the SaaS vendors themselves develop on our platform. They know how the data constructs. They know better. So that's how we can kind of reach more SaaS applications and PWAs as possible.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Having that ability to do that just kind of opens things up a lot. So before we get to the next question, I wanted to mention the resources that HYCU has also linked to in the doc section. Check those out because they are truly awesome. Okay, I am going to close the first poll out here right now, and let's dive into some more questions. So we have another question. Does HYCU have the ability to back up physical servers?
Absolutely, of course it does. It wasn't in my presentation, so I only had 20 minutes or so to do. But yeah, absolutely, and the same kind of principles apply that I mentioned throughout the presentation. So no agents, no proxies, anything else like that. So we back up physical servers without having to install anything on your physical machines, which is pretty remarkable if you ask me. Most of the vendors are going to have something to have to be installed. We don't install anything on physicals. We can back those up, and then we can then convert those into whatever else you want, into Nutanix, into VMware, into public cloud, wherever you want to go as well.
That is so nice. Yeah, no, that is so nice to hear. There's going to be music to a lot of ears listening to us and watching us right now. Okay, next question. How is HYCU licensed?
So it obviously depends on the platform, but pretty much as a rule, it's licensed as if in the same way as you purchase. So like for Office 365 or one of those applications like Salesforce, that type of thing for a SaaS app, it's going to be on the users. For things like file shares, it's things like on capacity basis, same with object stores and vector databases, those types of things on capacity. And then if we go back into the hybrid cloud world, it's going to be VMs or cores.
Okay, great. Okay, Tom wants to know, can they back up NAS, network attached storage / NetApp? Can you do those particular types of backup?
Yeah, of course we can. So we can do any NAS that's attached. We also have some deeper integration with certain vendors. So for Dell PowerScale, NetApp, Nutanix Files, we have some deeper integration which goes into their APIs and pulls out change file tracking as well. So for NetApp, you can even do that. We then hook into their APIs, look at their SnapDiff API, pull out what's changed. So we have super fast, super efficient backups as well.
So a lot of what I'm hearing in these answers, Chris, is that you don't lock customers in to one solution. There's a lot of options that you provide, which is what we all want, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, giving people choice and flexibility and over their own data, right?
100%. Okay, got time for just a couple of more questions. Felix wants to know, is this applicable to multi-cloud architecture backups?
Yeah, absolutely. So our cloud platform actually has the ability to back up and restore from all three major hyperscalers, so GCP, Azure, and AWS. So you can take data from GCP, put it back into Azure, and Azure, AWS, you can go do that cross. We actually have the deepest and widest coverage in GCP as well. So if people are looking for that multi-cloud approach, definitely take a look at HYCU, because we can definitely help you, especially for some of the services that are less covered. With being the coverage things like AWS Lambda and those types of things, where it's not a VM and it's not a database, so sometimes goes a little bit unnoticed. But for a lot of organizations, those types of configurations, those types of data are critical. But it's just not thought of. So have a think about those types of things as well.
And it's really nice that you have that available too, because as you say, these environments are all custom, and it sounds like you work with so much of it. Okay, last question before we let you go today, Chris. What is the biggest challenge you regularly see in customers today regarding modern data protection? So a very broad-based question, but something that a lot of people are wondering about.
Yeah, whenever I speak to customers, partners, prospects, media, whoever it may be, I think the biggest one is visibility. Understanding what we've got out there. Obviously, my slides kind of touch on that a little bit in terms of 20, 25 years ago, it was very easy to understand what you had because everything was in your own perimeter. In a data center, you could walk down and be like, that runs that runs that, and that runs that. Today, with a credit card or anything else like that, marketing can go buy a SaaS app. Finance can go buy a SaaS app. Your dev team can sign up to GitHub and GitLab completely free and start putting production code into there. So it becomes incredibly difficult to understand what you have, what data is out there, and what you need to protect, especially from a CISO point of view, right? If you're trying to mitigate risk, how do you know what risk you have in your organization if you don't know what you have and where data is stored? So the first one being is visibility and understanding how how and where you've got data stored, and the second one is that those modern applications. So as I said in my slides, the data protection vendors, all of them on this, the Backupalooza and all the rest of them who aren't here have done a great job of protecting hybrid cloud and VMs and file shares and things over the years. How do we then move that into SaaS, PaaS, DBaaS, and become ever present in those places as well?
100%. I love what you said about visibility. The old saying applies here: you can't protect what you don't know is there.
Exactly that. Yeah.
You are not protecting it. So, well, Chris, it's been a delight to have you on Backupalooza today. Really appreciate the information on HYCU and what you are doing. It's always a delight to have you on, and I can't wait to see you in future events. So have a great afternoon.
Amazing. Thank you, Keith, and thanks everyone for joining.